Greetings and welcome to another edition of The Pedal Shift Project. The Pedal Shift Project is a series of conversations, thoughts, and experiments on bicycle travel adventures. From tips and tricks to ideas on how to ride your ride. Let's shrink the world by bike. Show notes and more are available at pedalshift.net/355, and you can email the show at pedalshift@pedalshift.net or text me at 202-930-1109 and check Pedal Shift out on all the socials as well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 355th edition of the Pedal Shift Project. My name's Tim Mooney. Thanks so much for joining. On this edition, part 3 of the Space Coast Loop. Day 3 of the ride was a return to a familiar road route that kicked off this whole riding in Florida thing all the way back in 2019. But after 2 days of mostly idyllic trail riding, would competing for asphalt with cars and trucks be a rude awakening? And also, what direction are the prevailing winds in Florida again? Good morning from a very quiet camp. That's why I'm keeping my voice down. It was incredibly noisy last night, but not from the hundreds of campers here. They were very quiet. One person did set up and was a little bit on the noisier side, but that was fine. There were planes overhead, like literally circling. They've started again this morning. I have no idea what that's all about. Maybe having to do with the NASA facility. I have no idea. But trains, traffic, it was pretty noisy up until probably close to 10 o'clock when the quiet hours hit. So, I don't think I got quite as good sleep as I would have liked, or at least as long. But that's okay. I'm going to probably do more of a robust check-in with you in a little bit here. But I'm going to get all packed up, and today's a longer day. Not by many miles, but I figure if it goes like yesterday did, I should be just fine. But that means I do want to get out of here by 8 o'clock. It is just before 7 right now, and let's do it. All right, we are riding on US 1 South. Traffic is not too bad this morning. It's not quite 8 a.m., and I'm headed straight for a Publix. I have plenty of water. I may even do this at a gas station or 7-Eleven instead, but I had it down as the Publix. But I basically need to repeat yesterday. I need to make sure I've got a really solid lunch. I want to put something else in me for breakfast and maybe replenish a snack or two. So that's the idea at this point. And I think I'm going to do the soda trick again. That seemed to work well. I think that because the nature of the surface and the flatness of today, I may, like I did at the tail end of yesterday, average much higher than I have been. I was very slow, just like day 1 to start yesterday. I looked at my statistics, and towards the end of the day, my speed picked up, and I think that was terrain and surface. Terrain meaning, lack of elevation. Oh, there's a Walgreens right here. Well, this will be perfect. And I don't have to cross the road. Fantastic. So, that's where I'll be going here. It will handle my heavy lifting for the morning. And frankly, it's not nearly as cool this morning. So I may also take this opportunity to strip down layers. There's just no need to be as layered up as I am right now. Okay, so early morning Walgreens stop, and then we're gonna get moving. If you look at the map, there's a road that does cut this. I'm doing like a kind of due south, due west thing, and there is a diagonal road. But when I did the math on it, it only saved me like maybe a mile or two, maybe like a mile and a half, and but with worse bicycling infrastructure. So I'm gonna trade distance for some better infrastructure, despite the fact I'll be on US 1, which you would think I would want to avoid. But nope, I like the big bike lane, and straight as an arrow shot. Okay, I will park here and talk to you later. Well, file that too good to be true. They open at 9, which is a bummer. I was kind of hoping that this would work out, but maybe there'll be another option down the road that is open here in the 8 o'clock hour. Bummer was I got all my stuff locked up and everything, and well, here I am unlocking, going back. That's okay. That's all right. Plenty of time today. I did strip down one layer though, just to be on the safe side. I put my jacket back on. It's a little more visible, I think, than my all black, which I'll be wearing later, but I do have my lights as well, which I think I'll be using when I get on some of the more rural roads, just to catch attention. All right, well, not what I would have liked, but it is what it is. Now, well south of where I was camping, well south of Titusville, back on Indian River Road, just as gorgeous as it was yesterday. Of course, it's a different section, but a similar vibes. Trees with the beautiful Spanish moss, 15-mile-per-hour speed humps, which are fantastic for keeping traffic calm. Beautiful homes, of course, as you would expect, and just stunning views of the river. It's a really, really gorgeous day out. No views of Kennedy Space Center, obviously, since we're quite a bit further south. But I'm on this for probably about 6 miles or so. And then I will be making my turn to the west. So I get this nice, beautiful view for, you know, the last bit of my time here on the Space Coast in Brevard County. And it's a nice way to end the day. I did end up literally like maybe a couple hundred meters down from the Walgreens, and the Publix was there, so I ended up going to the Publix, which was my original thing. After all, I didn't realize how close I was. I would have probably just done that in the first place, but I got a few things. I hope I didn't get too little, but I do have some food left over. They didn't have any breakfasty stuff that was kind of grab and go, which was a bit surprising. So I had half of a wrap, and I'll have the other half in the other. So they were like half sandwiches instead of full sandwiches. So I have 3/4 of a sandwich left, basically, when I'm ready, which will be later in the day, of course. And I slammed down a disgustingly sugary Coke, and of course that helped a lot yesterday, so I'm anticipating it'll help a lot today. And I got some other sugary stuff too. It's funny, I've gotten to the point with a few things. Remember, I used to do Pop-Tarts a lot. I'm kind of over Pop-Tarts, and it's too bad because they are bang for the buck, really great for calories, but yeah, I just can't do it anymore. That's something that I think I've mentioned on past pods about. Sometimes you get sick of stuff. Like I got sick of Clif Bars for years. I couldn't touch one, and I think only recently have I been able to be like, okay, cool, Clif Bar, you know. So maybe this too. Well, clouds are a little thicker than yesterday. The sun's still very much out, so I don't know what it portends. The forecast suggested that it was going to be cloudier today, so that would be helpful. That would be helpful. Okay, I'm going to continue to go down this road. By the way, it's not, I wouldn't call it flat, I wouldn't call it hilly. It's kind of varied. It's a little curvy and has some, it's a little bit of very minimal rolls to it. So I think it's a little more active cycling this morning than I anticipated, but that's fine because I do know I've got a really long flat road with Nova Road, my old friend, coming up later. And if you remember from a few years ago when I rode it, or if you checked out, I think it was the very first of the Florida rides, Nova Road was a delight. I was so afraid of it because of how fast it was vehicular-wise, but it was a delight. So I anticipate it will be a delight today. From Cocoa, Florida, just passed in, still on
this Indian River Road. I see the causeway, which I rode from here in Cocoa to Cocoa Beach. Very exciting. And I know I'll be making a right in the very near future. I believe I get to go under the causeway in a moment here, which is good because was the reason why I took this road in many ways is because it's just simpler to get past this very busy intersection at Highway 1, which I think also included a large grade as well. So here we go. From Cocoa, Florida, and Florida 520. I am back on a familiar route. Trafficy and noisy. And this is my life for the next, 50 miles or so. Well, I should say that. I'm on a road for 50 miles, but I'm on noisy road for about maybe another 10. And then a real quiet road, I think. Memory serves. I'll have to look at things, but as brutal as it sounds right now, there is actually a fairly robust bike lane here. So, not my favorite. Many of you would say you're crazy, but I guess I could have just turned around and done the trail back, and many of you might choose that. I might choose that some other time, but for now, it's a nice revisiting of a route that I've done before. Sun is now more behind me and to my left. It has been very much the opposite of that for the last 2 days and 1/6, I guess we'll call it. So yeah, that route was beautiful. I do not regret it, but I burnt a lot of my day's energy in that first 11 miles or so, which I may come to regret later. I do think that getting another sugary caffeinated beverage might be a good idea while I have a chance, just because keeping the furnace lit, you know what I mean? Okay, I'm gonna keep talking through this intersection because I'd like to make it through this green, which I did. A lot of these roads are pretty, this is classic Strode territory if you're into the mocking term of urban designers, but it is what it is. At least there's bike infrastructure, kind of. All right, more to come. Just crossed under I-95. Would have given you the soundscape on that, but there was a crossover for the on-ramp through the bike lane, so I just thought I would avoid that. Bike lane is technically ending here, which is fine because I'm not on this area for much longer, and it ends, and they just aren't putting the little guy with the bike and the helmet on it. The shoulder's exactly the same. So curb lane, bikes only. Okay, well there we go. So they said no bike lane, and then they said there's a bike lane. Awesome. Thank you, Brevard County. All right, still on Florida 520 for a little bit longer, and then we get on good old Nova Road, I believe, pretty soon, if memory serves. And I'll have to cross 520, which is not my favorite thing, but I crossed Highway 1, US 1 a couple times already, yesterday and today, which is roughly the same. 4-lane highway. That's basically it. You could tell by the noise, or the lack thereof, that things got real quiet, particularly once we got on the other side of 95. If you're going back to the direction I'm going, this is not the way you would drive it. It's a quiet old country road, and you can do much better on the freeways and the toll roads that are available to you. All right, I think that's all I got. Oh, I did make a stop. I made a stop at Cumberland Farms. Did a quick bathroom break, and I got a Red Bull for a little pick-me-up, and that is doing good. I've got plenty of water and electrolyte drink, so I think I'm in good shape. I'm in as good shape as you can get. Passing by Cocoa Stadium right now, home of some sports ball team, I'm sure. All right, next stop is super rural Central Florida. Woohoo! Folks, Nova Road, here we are. Things were going pretty good in terms of the speed over here on 520. But then I caught a bit of a headwind coming from the directly head on. Well, that's what a headwind is, I suppose. And so that slowed me down a little bit. The predominant grade is uphill, but I still was managing to do, gosh, at least 10, 11 miles per hour, even with that. So I've been moving about as well as you can expect, which is pretty great. Right now, I am refilling my main water bottle, which has like kind of like a easy sipper kind of situation. Sorry if the audio is weird, but that was me just leaning over. Thought I would kind of also stand up and let my rear end dry a little bit in the sun. And now that I know I won't be using my wallet, I will stick it in the backpack here, literally right under the phone that is recording right now. There's your soundscape there. Okay, sun is out. There are no clouds, so I am also going to reapply sunscreen. I am wearing a full long sleeve shirt, but my hands are very exposed, so I'll make sure I hit those. Neck and face, of course. I'm very pleased with how well I've kept the sun off of me. I mean, it's been great. No burn. You can always tell in the shower if you've done too much, right? And both showers have been fine. So this road, I've talked about Nova Road before. The surface is phenomenal. It's interesting because right here it's very chip sealy. My recollection is I really liked it in other parts, so I'm hoping that they didn't go over it with chip seal and it's poorer quality now. But I've got about 20-ish miles on this one. I'm nearly halfway done with the miles today, which is great because I do feel pretty good. The remainder of the grade is very flat, as you would expect, and it's very rural. Zero chance of any services. And as you can hear, there's some pretty serious trucks that go through here. It is 55 miles per hour in parts. There is no shoulder, but it is arrow straight except for one bend, one very prominent bend, which is about a third of the way through. My last experience on this was really good, better than I expected. So I'm hoping for 2 for 2. That's me putting on more sunscreen. And I don't really have much more to say other than I'm glad this has been going so well so far. Physically, I feel as good as I've felt. Earlier on, especially right after, and I mentioned this, of course, just a few minutes ago for you, I was feeling like I spent a lot of energy on the early part, the first 10 miles. And that was probably true, but, you know, the magic of sugar and caffeine, never underestimate it. One thing that I did not bring on this trip that I really regret is biking gloves. I could only find one. And normally when I ride in the Brompton, I find that the grips are so comfortable, I don't feel like I need them. And that's certainly true for shorter rides. But on a more robust ride like this, it would have been better to have them. It's not the padding, because the ergon grips do a great job for that. It's the kind of constant movement. It's the chafing almost, even though my hands aren't chafed. It just feels like I'm feeling it more. It's not. If that's my biggest complaint, I'm really in good shape, to be perfectly honest. I will say there are far more vehicles turning in and coming out than I remember. It is a Friday. I don't know if that's going to be impacting it. It is, let's see what time. It's just 11 a.m. right now. So I think the only way to handle this is to handle it. And I don't really have another option at this point either, so here we go. I'm sure I will check in at least once in this. There are very few good places to stop on this, which is another good reason for me to take a little bit more of a break right here. Like I said, at that bend, there was a decent spot, if memory serves. That's where I had lunch last time. So I probably will do the same here. Not very hungry. Been having a lot of sugar though, so that's been helpful. That's an interesting thing about the riding is like, I wonder if I'd be better served not eating as much. I don't know. I'm experimenting with all sorts of different things. I've been doing this for, 10 years now, 10 years plus. And I think every situation is different. There is no one-size-fits-all thing. You got to kind of listen to your body. There you go. There's your advice. There's your pro tip. Pro tip for day 3. All right. Man, there are some big-ass trucks. Professional drivers that will hopefully give me the courtesy of my, I don't even know what the law is in this state. I hope it's at least 3 feet. All right, off we go. Right about at the halfway point of my day, about 29 miles in, here on Nova Road. The surface is, in fact, excellent. Really, really nice and smooth asphalt. Occasional seams here and there, but boy, it's nice. Traffic is fine. Every manner of vehicle has given me at least my 3 feet, not more, depending on the conditions. A lot of straddling over the dotted yellow. Yeah, there's just 2 in a row that just gave me a ton of leeway. So, I'm comfortable riding in this kind of a thing, even with these enormous trucks. Here's one uncommon, but they've been as good or better than the passenger vehicles. So, yeah, the only complaint is, now that we're at 11:46, but I think that the sun is past its midway point, and I'm going to be riding into the sun for a good chunk of the rest of the day. So that's going to be okay. And I'm also catching a pretty good headwind that is just enough to make it a little bit of a slog. Unfortunately, it's like, you may get this too, where it's sort of like when you're in one gear, you're pressing a little too much, so it's a little too much. Then you go drop one gear down and you're spinning a little too much. That's kind of where I'm at right now, so it's not super comfortable. I did mention that there aren't places to stop. That's not true. There are a lot of places. In fact, I think I'm going by a tree that I stopped at last time. The challenge is with this bike, even with my kickstand, it won't stay upright. And there's not much stuff to lean it to that is close to the road. And although the grass looks fine, you just never know what kind of weird-ass vegetation they have here in Florida that could contain burrs. I've already run into something back at that first campsite. So I would not want to catch a flat out here, especially if I double flatted. I'd be really in trouble. I do have a patch kit. I think I do have that tube after all. I think I'd mentioned that I don't, but I think I do now. Yeah, so anyways, it's not something that I really feel like risking. And, at some point Nova Road finishes, eventually. And I'll be moving into a little bit more of a civilization space. There's not a lot, though. And I will have to start thinking about it in about, 15 miles or so. Like what I want to do for dinner and all that. I do think it would be really unlikely that I would feel spry enough to go check in and then bike someplace for food. I suppose I could get delivery. That's certainly a possibility. But yeah, I'm not super hungry right now. I did stop a bit back, ate the rest of that wrap. I still have plenty of food left. So we've kind of entered what I feel like is the slog of this whole thing. This would be much easier if it was riding like I was on 520 and even US 1, where it just felt like the miles were going really easy. I think there's a very slight grade, so you're just spinning into the whole thing. So, and yesterday was a big day. Today's a big day for a little clown bike like this. But I think we'll get through it. I think maybe the sugar and the caffeine will kick in a little bit, and we'll end up feeling a little bit better. Really beautiful. I do wish it were a little cloudy today. I'm definitely getting beat down by the sun, but it's kind of half the reason why I came down here, right? The nicer weather and all. But all in all, very little to complain about. Now, as you can hear, there are stretches now that we're kind of deep into Nova Road where the traffic really is much fewer and farther between. And I think I'm getting more cars that are oncoming than coming behind me, which kind of makes some sense too. So yeah, we'll make it all work. I think I'd mentioned before that this is big grazing land, and there's tons of cows and whatnot. I'm looking at two of them that are looking at me like an idiot. They're probably not used to hearing humans talk by the road. Hello, cows. Hello, cow. I wish you a long life. I don't expect it. Sorry. This is how it goes. All right, well, after that little interlude, I'm gonna, I think we're almost up to the big curve that I had mentioned. And I might as well confirm that on the map. Why not? Powerful pod. Yes, the big curve, which may mean that the headwind ends as I turn, because the wind is curiously coming from the south, which the weather app didn't say that. So now that I am going to turn due west, well, maybe the compass isn't that. No, yeah, I'm going due south, so the wind is coming from the south. All right, so now I'll turn to the west, and I'll get a crosswind, which would be substantially easier to deal with, I would think, as I turn west here. And under 30 miles. So, yeah, the miles will come off at a decent pitch. I don't know what I'm averaging, but I'm doing about 10 miles per hour right now. Hopefully I can do better once the headwinds aren't so headwindy, no more side windy. So this is exciting. This is a major portion right here, or a major milestone, major point in my route. Yeah. Anyways, we're turning west. Well, there is a headwind, and it's coming straight at me now. So I was getting just kind of a diagonal hit before. Now it's right on me. It's a 7-mile sustained, 14 mile per hour gust. So it's there. It is there. So I'm really slow. I'm down to like 7-8 miles per hour. So, and it's taken a lot out of me. So this is going to be a bit of a slog these last 24 miles or so. So I'll take some breaks where I can. I'm sitting on one of those middle highway dividers right now, and that actually feels pretty good, just to kind of relax a little bit. I am done with my Coke. That's gone. I now regret not grabbing an extra caffeinated beverage, because this would be a great time for one. I've got plenty to drink, plenty to eat, but I'm in that slog stage that I know so many of you are familiar with. Yeah, and it is straight as an arrow. I mean, there's no deviation from here. So it is probably 2 hours, I'd say, of just straight arrow, slow slogging here down Nova Road. It's interesting. I should check and see if the typical winds are from the west here. I don't remember having a tailwind the last time, but I do remember it being easy riding. And I just kind of thought, oh, it's the surface. Oh, it's a little bit of a, very, very, very minimal downgrade. But I wonder if I ended up having a tailwind and just didn't even realize it, because I am definitely recognizing this. But trying to keep up good spirits, because that's all you got in a time like this. Traffic's been fine. They are giving me plenty of room. And so that's not an issue at all. It's a bit of a slog. Gonna be perfectly honest, but we'll get through it. I think I will earn my sleep tonight. And I think I mentioned this before. I am not camping tonight. I'll be in an Airbnb, and I'm really hoping that the check-in situation there is not difficult. But I was hoping to get in a little bit early. Now I think I'm going to be getting in a little bit later than I wanted. I don't think I'm going to have a problem with getting there after sunset. I think I should get in well before then, but a lot depends on how many breaks I've got to take. And I think that the best thing I can do is sort of take little micro breaks and then just kind of plow through, a few miles at a time, and then take little micro breaks as I go along here. It's just how it is today. I always knew that today was going to be probably the hardest of the days, but I was not considering this kind of headwind for this. I mean, when you go straight line into a headwind like that, it just is a lot. It's a lot. I'm not sure if I've ever had this kind of a day with this. It's not a tremendous wind, but it's just enough to really slow you down. So there you go. All right, more cows to hang out with, more big trucks. Let's see, We cross by irrigation ditches from time to time. That's kind of nice looking. But it's about the same terrain all the way through, and it doesn't change at all until I start to get to the outskirts of, is it St. Cloud there? No, it's Kissimmee there. And we'll be going through that town, and then I'll grab some food and get to my Airbnb and collapse. That's what I'm thinking. That's my reward. So more to come on that. Let me give you a mileage update just so that I got that right. Got 23.3 miles to go. I've gone 35, so that's pretty cool. I think it's, let's see, where are we at right now? Yeah, I'd say we got about 10 solid miles until things change and I get off Nova Road. It's probably a little bit more than that. So yeah, that's going to be a little more than an hour, but that's not too bad. That's not too bad. And who knows, maybe the wind will lie down a little bit and I'll get lucky. All right, more to come. Got about, let's see here. How long here? 6 miles until the end of Nova Road. I've got about 17 miles left in my day. Another pro tip. When you're flagging, turn on the music. That's all I'm saying. Turn on the music. Went with a 80s new wave mix. Little You Spin Me Right Round, Baby Right Round. Little Pretty in Pink. Little what else did we have in there? With some old Tears for Fears, pre-songs in the big chair. The 82 album, Hurting. Man, good stuff. Okay, we're getting the sustained wind. You may have been like 7 miles per hour, no big deal. I agree, it wasn't. The problem is that it's been a lot of gusts, a whole lot of gusts, many gusts, big gusts. But they seem to be starting to ebb a little bit. I've been able to get up into a higher gear for some short periods of time. And what did I bang out there? Maybe 5 or 6 miles, roughly. So we're getting there. It's just, there are no tree breaks. There's just nothing that stops the wind from coming in. And of course, I got that to deal with too. Although, again, traffic on this road, it's here. There's no shoulder, but everybody's been really good. The only weird thing I had is people love to pass on this road. And there was one guy that was started a pass in the other lane coming at me a little sooner than I would have liked. He started to make the move as before I had completely gotten past him, which seemed really dumb from my perspective, but it turned out just fine. If that's the worst thing that happens today, no big deal. Let's see, doing some interesting construction over here by a cell phone tower. That's beefy. I don't know what they're doing there, but it looks like it's something of note, which is interesting because all of this land is really, it's all grazing land. But this is as we get closer and closer to St. Cloud, we're starting to get to the edge of a fairly developed space, as I've talked about ad nauseum on this show. So who knows? They could be building something to support that. I don't think they'd build housing out here. We're still way too far away for that, but someday. Hey, motorcycle. Oh, I forgot to mention, guy in camp last night on a big Harley was tent camping all around the place, and he's been to a whole bunch of states, and we chatted a little bit last night, this morning a little bit before I took off. So yeah, that was kind of cool, kind of nice, different way, of course, of doing it. But the e-bike project is a step in that direction in terms of the distance you can cover and whatnot. So kind of fun, kind of interesting. Wish I had an e-bike right now. Not gonna lie, but I do feel like I'm feeling the pull of St. Cloud right now in Kissimmee and where I'm going to eventually be. And yeah, I'll be fine. It's good. May switch up the musical break now to something different. Maybe a 90s genre. I had been listening to an audiobook by Michael Azerrad, who all he does is write books about Nirvana. It's funny. He wrote kind of the definitive one back in the day, and he keeps writing kind of like new versions of that book with different takes. And I was thinking, this one won't be so good. Because I was like, what else does he have to say? And he kind of injects himself into it a little bit more, sort of like this is almost a book almost about the making of that first book, which actually was kind of a clever way of doing it, and revealing stuff that he couldn't or didn't want to reveal back then. And yeah, interesting stuff. Nirvana, as you all know, is my favorite band, and I find them fascinating and flawed and everything. So I don't think I'll go back to that until maybe tomorrow, because that was the thing that was kind of slogging me down. I think I need to go music. So maybe I'll do a little 90s music mix that might include some of the Nirvana stuff, maybe a little bit more. I'll let you know. All right, so that is that. Like I said, we're over 40 miles right now, 41.1 in, 17.3 to go. So longer day, but we'll make it. And it's funny. It feels like the wind has died down a little bit. So maybe just for my break, though. Maybe it'll pick up as soon as I get rolling again. Jeez. We are officially off of Nova Road. Oh my goodness. Doing some back roads and then hooking up with some main roads, and then we'll be in St. Cloud. And holy smokes, that headwind was something else. I took a really brief break just to get my earbuds recharged briefly. It takes just a few minutes to get them up to get a fair amount of time out of them. So I'm trying to figure out what's my ETA is a big question mark, because who knows, but I've got 11 miles left. I've gone 47.6 miles, and yeah, we're getting there. So I'll probably be on the lookout for a place where I can pick up some food, and then I'm just gonna go straight there and then just hit the shower, maybe pull out my tent and stuff and really air it out, because it was a little moist this morning, and just kind of assess how I feel and everything. I think I'm fine for now. I may pick up a caffeinated beverage or something just to kind of get me over the hump here. But I'm in that place. I don't know if you get this, but like when you really are pushing, you're not hungry, so it's hard to get calories down. So I think I'm all liquid calories at this point. But I feel good considering. But that was a slog, dude. That was seriously a slog. Nova Road, I have now decided, is an eastbound only road for me, and it's good. I think it's still the best way on the south side to get across the state, across this part of the state. The north side, of course, I'm all about those trails. But when I say north, I mean of the metro area, of the Orlando metro area. So from a loop perspective, I would recommend doing it in the counterclockwise way. If I were to do it again, I would have gone down here, I would have started in St. Cloud, and I would have ended up at Manatee Hammock for my first night, and then worked my way around. That would be my pro tip. So these podcasts are full of pro tips these days. All right, let's get rolling. I'm excited. I'm now feeling the pull. At the junction of US 192 and Nova Road, man, did I dodge something. So my directions had me taking some back roads, as I mentioned. As I was looking at the map, I was like, oh, this is not the most direct way. So I turned around after, less than a quarter mile, and went back to Nova Road. So I did Nova Road, and then when I got to the point where I would have come out, the road was all dug up. So I would have gone all this way, and I wouldn't have had a way out. It was bananas. I was really lucky that I did not do that. It's kind of, I don't know, the spidey sense went off. Sometimes you got to listen to that. Okay, so I have no sense of how much more I've got. I have stopped at a gas station, and I am drinking another Sugary soda. I never drink this stuff, but it will absolutely fire me up for it's probably an hour, maybe less, I'm thinking. And I'm very excited about that. Again, on the lookout for food. I should have more possibilities of that in the next few minutes. I'm getting sunscreen in my eye, which is making it difficult to think much else talk for some reason. There we go. More scintillating audio content for you. I'm trying to think if there's anything else of note. The wind has died down a little bit, but it's because I've been kind of moving in and out of tree-lined areas. It's much easier to navigate. I took a little spill at one point. That's fine. It's fine. I'm noticing my saddle is a little askew. If anybody knows anything about Brooks saddles and the leather care of them, I'm utterly clueless. If it's askew, is that a problem? Text me, 202-9... I don't even know the text number. I say it at the beginning of every show. You heard it at the top of the show. All right. Okay, I'm out of here. Well, I'm going to drink Sugary soda, and then I'm out of here. Grab myself some Taco Bell. I'm on Narcoossee Road. Interesting sidebar. I will be eating at a restaurant called Narcoossee's tomorrow night. Fancy restaurant. A nice restaurant. Looking forward to that. Tonight, it's Taco Bell. And Taco Bell's. Boy, it's amazing when you drink sugar how that can then make you feel. I am back to 100% and feeling good about that. I think I'll be getting in about 4:30, which is my kind of wheelhouse. And I already got the code to get in. These folks get really great reviews. It's a real simple place, real inexpensive. So exactly what I needed for tonight. Interestingly, right on a lake as well. So across the street, but kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to it. Next stop, my Airbnb. From my Airbnb in St. Cloud, Florida. Backyard has got chickens and roosters and ducks. It's delightful. This is a delightful place. I don't know if it's appropriate for me to prop these folks up. I guess it is. It's a kind of a small business. I'll put a link in the show notes to this place. The two folks who own a husband and wife, they're retired Disney World cast members, because of course, right? And they have a beautiful little place. I will also mention, if riding in this area is something that you have on your plans, two things of note. First of all, this is a great place, and it's inexpensive but very nice. They get good ratings, and I can see why. The other thing is they are installing brand new bike path to get to here. I thought it was going to be a lot harder. In fact, it would have been really challenging. I would have had a line of traffic behind me because there was no shoulder when I was looking at it on Google Maps before. Well, turns out they have, in the last year, since Google has had their little Google mobiles over here, they put in a path. Now, it's not completely constructed yet, but it will be soon, including a bike and pedestrian only bridge over part of it. It's just glorious. It's really nice here, and I would say this is something you should consider, maybe coming this direction. Very nice, much better than going through town like I've done before. Right along the lake, it's really just gorgeous. So yeah, I'm feeling really grateful that this turned out the way it did. It was a nice, really nice way to end the day here after a bit of a slog, let's be honest. But let's see, takeaways here: sugar and caffeine, holy smokes. A very good thing to help you through headwinds, I'm just here to say. Also, 80s new wave songs can get you through headwinds. These are good things. And you know what? I'm very excited to take a shower and to just get the muck off of me. And then I've got some probably lukewarm Taco Bell. And then I'll think about what I want to do with my gear. I'll figure that out. I mean, there wasn't really a ton of moisture in it, but I may just want to take it out and kind of spread it. I almost don't want to spread it out around here because there's probably some grit and stuff, and I would prefer not to mess around with this beautiful space. Keep my grit as minimal as possible here. A bed, oh my goodness. Although I will say, the thing about my sleeping pad is it's darn good. I really, really like it. I've mentioned the brand before and I keep forgetting. It was not cheap, and you know what? Sometimes you can find savings in other things, but this one I'll make sure I put it in the show notes or otherwise mention it on the next episode, which one I'm using, because it's fantastic, and that was not an impediment to me sleeping at all. All right, I think that's it. That's the end of day 3. Was a total of, hold on, when all was said and done, how many miles did I end up doing? 59.1, because, every once in a while, you do a little kind of jogs. I had that little mini detour, which I'm really glad I did. You just look at the map. Go to the show notes and take a look at this, because I'll embed this map. That's an impressive amount of distance there. I have never ridden this many miles in Florida in any of my trips. The longest I had ever done before was, I think, 55, which was essentially the reverse of this. And I must have, I don't know how it was less, but I think I was staying at a hotel that must have been mileage-wise a little bit closer. Not by a lot, but yeah. So this was a good day. I'm glad I conquered it. Tomorrow is a much shorter day in terms of mileage. I do have, if I so choose to do it, a little bit of a gnarly finish to the end there. If I want to bike directly to my resort, if I decide that the traffic is too much, then I'm not going to do it. I'll go to someplace else that's safe, and I've done it before, and I'll stop there, and then I'll get an Uber or a Lyft. the shortest Uber or Lyft ever to that resort, which will be fine. I'll talk more about that on the next episode. But for now, quality day 3. Hope you enjoyed it. A little bit of headwinds, not a lot of drama, but yeah, that was a thing. Statistics. Miles biked 59.1. Sugary drink references, just 1. Bit of an upset there. Farm animals observed, 200, I don't know, probably more. Missed turns, 3. Tears for Fears references, 1. Flats, 0. Folks, just a very quick programming note. You probably can tell by the calendar, we are going to be taking next week off for our traditional beginning of the month best of, and returning the following week for part 4 of the Space Coast Loop. See you then. And as always, we like to close out the show with a special shout out to the Pedal Shift Society. Because of support from listeners like you, Pedal Shift is a weekly bicycle touring podcast with a global community. Expanding into live shows and covering new tours. If you like what you hear, you can support the show for $5, $2, or even $1 a month. And there's one-shot and annual options if you're not into the small monthly thing. Check it all out at pedalshift.net/society. On to the society. Kimberly Wilson, Caleb Jenkinson, Cameron Lean, Andrew McGregor, Michael Hart, Keith Nagel, Brock Dittus, Thomas Skadow, Marco Lowe, Terrence Manson, Harry Telgadis, Chris Barron, Mark Van Ram, Brad Hipwell, Mr. T, Nathan Poulton, Stephen Dickerson, Vince LaGreco, Cody Florchinger, Tom Beninati, Greg Braithwaite, Sandy Pizzio, Jeff Muster, Seth Pollock, Joseph Quinn, Drew Porter, Byron Patterson, Joaquin Robert, Ray Jackson, Jeff Fry, Kenny Mikey, Lisa Hart, John Denkler, Steve Hankel, Miguel Quinones, Alejandro Aviles Reyes, Keith Spangler, Greg Towner, Jody Zaranin, Lucas Barwick, Michael Baker, Brian Bechtal, Reinhard Bigel, Greg Middlemiss, Connie Moore, William Gothman, Brian Benton, Joan Churchill, Mike Bender, Rick Weinberg, Billy Crafton, Gary Matushak, Greg Latoile Lopez, James Sloan, Jonathan Dillard, John Funk, Ronald Paroli, Dave Roll, Brian Hafner, Misha LeBlanc, Ari Messenger, David Kropke, Todd Grossbeck, Wally Estrella, Sue Reinert, John Lico, Stephen Granada, Philip Mueller, Robert Lackey, Dominic Carroll, Jackie McCullough, John Hickman, Carl Presseau, David Neves, Patty Louise, Terry Fitzgerald, Peter Steinmetz, Timothy Fitzpatrick, Michael Lazuski, Hank O'Donnell, David Zanoni, David Weil, Matthew Sponsello, Chad Reno, Spartan Dale, Carolyn Ferguson, Peggy Littlefield, Lauren Allensmith, Eric Burns, Thomas Pearl, Darren McKibben, Richard Stewart, Dave Fletcher, Jack Smith, Luke Parkinson, Ryan Patterson, Sarus Faravar, John Gardner, Sam Scruggs, Dwight Pittenger, Connie Bowder, Rob Merrifield, and thanks to all past and anonymous folks for helping make this show happen. Thank you for joining. You can find Pedal Shift at pedalshift.net for more great bicycle touring content. You can hear the Pedal Shift project through Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast app. Opening music courtesy of Jason Kent off his self-titled album. The track is called America. Check out his band Sunfield's latest release, Mono Mono, wherever cool music is available.